Hello and welcome to this new session on lists which are used very widely in Python. There's probably a single program which is not using Python list. So in one or the other way, we are using list. So let's discuss about list. So there's a meme. If you have int, bool or string or any other data type, Python can have all in one list. So let's get started. So agenda is basics of list, some basic concepts and typically used methods or many of the commonly used methods in the list. So we'll see some commonly used example and then different for different for loop to iterate over a list. So let's get started. So basic list, a list is a built-in dynamically sized array, and list stores references and not values. So let's say you define one list here. Okay, by the way, list you define in square bracket and inside that you have your data. So it is an array. It can be of any type, either integer, string, boolean or combine. Okay, so list of names or list of strings, you can print it by a simple print statement. There is a list b, so it is a integer and you can print it. Okay, let's also see the type. So let's run it first. Okay, so we printed a list and then b list, so it is printed. Then let's see the type. So type of b list, type b, that is list. Okay, so the type of variable b is a list and individual element, so b of 0 is a number, so that is why it is integer. That is a simple basic of list of different data type. So as you see in the meme, we can have a list of in string, integer, boolean and floating number. So let's print it, let's run it and see. Yes, so it is able to process the data. That means you can have different types of data inside a list. Okay, now we'll see, that was just an introduction. Now let's see uh, the methods of all the methods which are used in list: append, copy, clear, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse and sort. So we'll see them with couple of examples also. So let's start with append. Okay, so append adds an element to the end of the list. Suppose there is a list having xyz elements and then you say a dot append and the value of the element, and then you'll print it. So basically what will happen is the number 4 or this element will be added at the end. All right. Okay, copy. So if we copy, if you want to copy a list into another variable or another list, another variable basically, so that can be done using a dot copy. So copy is a built-in function for lists, built-in method for lists. Okay, so a dot copy, so it will copy this, so it returns a shallow copy of the list. Basically shallow means it will return only the references, just the um, overall values of a list into b. We'll see much more in detail later also. So now once you copy it, now then you print both a and b, so it will be same because it is just a shallow copy. Now if you modify the zeroth member of a, okay, then let's see what happens to b. Okay, so first we printed both the lists, then we modified the first element of the a list and then we printed both the lists. So if you see, when we use the built-in copy function and we modify one of the element of one of the list, that is not going to affect other list. Okay, now let's see a 2D array or list of list. So this is one list which is inside main list or the outer list. So again we copy. So once we copy, we print both the lists, then we append something to the first list. Okay, the first list we append, and now again print the two lists. Okay, so if you see, first we printed both the lists, then we appended one of the list with a small value and then we printed both. So again it is clear that if you copy using the built-in copy function and then you modify one of the value or whatever in the original list, that will not affect the other list, the copied list. Okay, copy using list method. So not only dot copy, but we can have copy using a list method. So let's say there is one list called e with three values, then we essentially copy using list method. So with this syntax, list in bracket the name of the list and then assign it to some other list. Now we print it. Okay, essentially it is the same. Fine. Now let's see one more example. Copy using a list method. Okay, now again c is one list, d is the copy of list, then you print both the list. Okay, then you modify c00, the first element of the first list, then you print it, then you again append one more element in the c list and then you print it. Now let's see what happens. Okay, so first it printed both the list, fine. Then we modified the first element of the first list 9. So now what happens is we also printed c and d both the list. So in this case what happens is, if before, because you are using the list method, the ready-made list method, this basically implies that even if you modify original list, that will reflect in the copied list also. Okay, now again append something. So c is appended by, c list is appended by one more value. Okay, but the d list is not affected, the appended value is not reflected in the d. Again this is a bit twist, but that is how it is there in the list method. Okay, shallow copy using copy.copy function. So we have a library function or a class called as copy. In that we have a method called as copy. So copy.copy the original list and you assign it to a new list. So we have seen, first we have seen this one, the list name dot copy, the inbuilt function. Then we have seen the list function. Then we have seen the uh, list function. One more example. Now we are seeing copy function, which is ready-made available using a class. So it is again a shallow copy using copy.copy function. So now again I am importing that copy class and I have original list, then I copy it, copy original into d, and then now if I modify um, one of the variable in the original list, and let's see what happens to the new list. So the thing is, using copy.copy, which is again a shallow copy uh, methodology, it does not affect the new list. Okay, right? So original lists are printed. Okay, now if I modify c, that is not going to reflect in the new list. Okay, so that is the state of behavior in the shallow, in the copy.copy function. Now if you still want to explore further, we have something called as deep copy. So deep copy function is basically copy, but it will copy um, in a deep manner. Okay, so copy original list, new list, then we modify the one of the element in the original list, sorry, in the new list. If you modify something, then let's see the effect on the original. Okay, so we modified the new one, so that didn't affect the original one. Okay, here one more thing we can do is we can modify the original list, then we print original and the new. Okay, so again if you modify the original also, that it is not affecting the new list. Okay, new list is also again the same. Fine. So this is about the deep copy function. Right, so let's see the extend method. So it extend method adds element from another list to the end of current list, elements from another iterable to the end of current list. So we can have elements from other list or other tuple or other dictionary into our list. So that is what is done using extend. Okay, so I have this original list, then I will have one more list which is of the same data type for now, and I will say a dot extend b. So the b elements will be added at the end of a, and they will not be separate element, they will be individual element just like this. Okay, so let's see this. Right, so I had a, and then I extended a with b. So b is 4 5, so that will be added at the end. All right, one more example. So I have a of type integer. Now I want to add a tuple, and also the values of the tuple are strings, so that is also possible. So hi there will be added at the end of a. Okay, 1 2 3 hi there. Right, again I can have a dictionary, well, not dictionary, set. So a of list and d of type set, so that thing can also be extended to a. Okay, let's run it again. Right, 1 2 3 and another list elements are added at the end of first list. Okay, now because it is a set, okay, curly bracket, that is a set means it will not allow duplicates, so the true is repeated twice, so that got removed. If you see, false and true is only added, so true is getting removed because it is a set. Okay, so we can add a dynamic string also at the end. Right, so when we add a string, when we extend a list with a string, it will basically take every character individually and add it in the string. Okay, now let's see append versus extend. So yes, extend, if you see, extend 456, so what it will do, it will just individual elements that will add at the end of the original list. But if you see append will simply take this as one block and will put it at the end as one block only, not individual separate elements. So that is the difference between extend and append function or method. Okay, fine. So list index method, it returns the index of the nth occurrence of a specified element, by default the first index. So let's say there is a list, it has some elements, so I want the index of this element. Okay, so the index is 0 1 2. So what index will return is the whatever value you pass, the index of that value is what it will return. Okay, so index is 2. Fine, now let's see the index of the element which doesn't exist. Okay, because the element itself doesn't exist, so we will get an error. Okay, value error, line is not in the list. Okay, so to handle that, we can put it in a try catch or try except. We can say that try something, if you are getting exception or error, you can catch it and you can say it doesn't exist in the list, lion is not in the list. Okay, so let's see at a broad level what is the syntax. List name dot index, we need to give for which element we have to find index, and the start index and the end index. Okay, so let's see one example. This is a list A where we have mixed elements, so negative, positive numbers. There is a string and all. So the index is like 0 to 8. Total 9 elements, so 0 to 8. Now what we want is we want to find an element, the index of an element, which starts at 4 from here, and which ends at, let's say, 70. That is index 8, and we want to find the value, the element which is content is xyz. So let's run it. Right, so the index is 6, xyz is at 6 because we are starting to find at index 4. Okay, now let's reduce it to, for example, 6, and let's reduce this to say 2. So from 2 to 6, let's see if it finds that element or not. Okay, for that matter, I will end it with 7. Okay, so from 2 to 7, so from 2 to 7, from 30 to 40 till these elements, you see the element xyz is appeared twice. Okay, now even if it appear twice, this index function will return the index for the very first element it first time it found. So it found it first time at the index 3. Okay, so that is what it is returning. Okay, get the index of the max value in a list. So again, many times we need it, that we want to find a member whose value is maximum and the index of it. So we can use the max function. So max function will return the index of the maximum element in a list. Okay, right, so if you see here, the maximum positive number here is 77. This is a negative number. All right, so list index is 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. Fine, so let's proceed. Insert method. So inserts an element at the specified position in a list. Okay, syntax: list name, insert what, at what index you want to insert and what you want to insert. Okay, so there is a list fruit having 3 elements. I want to insert apple at the position 1. So that means 0 and 2. So in the between that I want to add apple. Okay, so let's run it. Right, so banana, cherry, grape, banana, apple, cherry, grape. Right, all right, inserting a tuple into the list. So in a list we can insert any number or whatever type of arguments we want, elements we want, so we can insert a tuple. So simply insert at position 2 and the tuple name, that's it. So let's run it and see. Fine, so it is it already inserted the tuple inside a list. All right, so let's see. This is the original list and this is the new list. All right, inserting a set into the list. So similar thing. So uh, curly brackets and then insert it. Let's run it and see. Fine, so it is inserted. Original and new. All right, inserting a dictionary. Similar approach. This is a dictionary, curly bracket. We have key value pair. We have key value pair, and then we'll first print the original list and then insert uh, using the append command. Okay, so if you want to insert a dictionary in a list, then you should use append. You should not use insert. Okay, we'll see the example also. So we can insert something in a list. Okay, now if you use the insert method, it will throw an exception. Let's see. Okay, insert expect two arguments but got one. So let's say this, we have to provide the index, right? So it inserted at 0th index position. Okay, so we have to provide index and the new dictionary both. The append will just add append at the end, simple. Okay, inserting another list into current list. Okay, again, common example, list 1 some elements, list 2 some elements. So I want to add list 1 at the end of list 2. I want to add list 2 at the end of list 1. So simply says list 1 plus list 2. Let's run it. Okay, so the elements are from list 2 are added to the list 1. Right, now we cannot use the insert as it is, so it will ask for an index. So we'll provide the index and let's run it. Okay, so list 1 is incorrect. Okay, so that is incorrect. Insert at the end, fine. So if you don't want to use append but we want to use insert, so insert, and what is the index? So index will be the total length of this list one, so that will be at the end. So you pass the length and the new value or new thing which you want to insert, and it will insert. So this will insert at the last index. If you say -1, then it will insert at the last index but one. Let's see. Right, so inserted 33 at the end, so it will be showing at the end. Now if you want to give a specific index, so you can give -1 index also. That means it will be last index -1. Okay, so between 50 and 60 it will insert the value. All right, so this is about insert method. Now let's see pop method. So pop, it removes and returns the element at the specified index. Okay, by default the last element if no index is specified. So we'll see with that example. So the syntax is list name dot pop, and what element you want to pop. Pop means basically you want to remove it but using the pop method. So let's see. So I have a list apple, orange, banana, kiwi, and I will say pop. That means it will by default pop or remove the last element. This will also return the last element also. So let's say if I say uh, qq equal to this and print qq. Now let's run it. Right, so it will printed the original list, then the pop item it is giving, and then finally the original list. So if you see from the original list the value is removed or popped out. Okay, but you can store it in one variable also. All right, so instead of default index, you can specify a specific index. So you want to pop index element 0, so that is this. Okay, so let's run it. So apple, orange, banana, kiwi. So apple is removed, so now orange, banana, kiwi is left. Okay, and the value which is popped out will be stored in this variable. All right, let's see another example. So custom index, so I want to pop the last, the minus 2, that means last, the second last element. So this is the last, this is the second last, that will be removed. Okay, so banana is removed. Fine. Index value handling, suppose you want to pop one element which doesn't exist, so then you will get a index error. So that is why you can handle it with a try except clause. So let's run it. Right, so a dot pop is not successful, you got an error or exception, so that is caught here, and we can print our custom message invalid index in pop. Okay, let's see remove method. So it removes the first occurrence of a specified element. Okay, so I have this element, then I have this list, and I will remove an element with value b. Okay, so I have to pass the value of the element which I want to remove, so that it will remove, and if it is repeat, then it will remove only the first instance. Okay, a b c, b is removed, so a and c remaining. Fine, this is a straightforward simple example. If any element is repeat, fine, so if you see a b b c, so b is repeated two times. Now if I remove b, it will remove only the first occurrence, and after that nothing will be, it will not touch any other element. Okay, so a b b c, a b c is left. Okay, if any element is not present, then we saw we will get an exception or error. So a dot remove x, x is not here, so we'll get an value error. You got a value error, it removes x is not in the list. Okay, so to handle it, we can go for the try catch or try except. So this is a list, and then we want to remove say mango, it doesn't exist, so we will get an exception, and it will show that invalid or element not present. All right, so if multiple elements to be removed. Okay, interesting. So sometimes we need that, um, we have one reference list and we have another, um, what you can say, for example layer elements or outlined elements or any kind of elements we want to remove, but they are in a list. Okay, so we want to remove some elements from a list having reference of another list. Okay, so that is multiple elements to be removed from list. So in this case a is the original list, and b list has those elements which have to be removed from a. So remove a list from a list, so we can do using a for loop. Okay, we can iterate over the list from which we have to do matching and then remove it, and then you will remove it from the original list. Okay, fine, so it is removed. All right, so remove versus pop. Okay, so remove by default, there is no default in the remove, so we have to give the value, but pop, it removes the last element, that means there is no default. Default is optional, so by default it will remove at the last. Then index value as an argument. So in the round method, we need to pass the value of the element. Okay, the one which you want to get removed, we have to pass the value, and in the pop there you need to pass the index. Okay, fundamental difference between remove and pop. Right, so now, list method is reverse method. So it reverses the order of the element in the list, and it modifies the original list. In other words, it does not require an it does not return a new list. It will modify the same list only. Okay, so it reverses the order of the element in the list. So straightforward. A dot reverse is the method. Dot reverse is the method. So I want to reverse all the elements in the list. So reverse will reverse it. Okay, fine. Now let's see the next. So list inside a list. So I have this list which having elements 0, 1 2 3 4, and again there is one list inside a list with 5 6 7. Now if I remove this, what will happen? See, what is remove what is reversing basically, just last element it will keep it at the front and so on. So basically if it is a left to right reading, then it will be reading right to left, something like that. So reverse method will reverse it, but now in this case this is one block. So this internal block or this internal list will not be reversed, rather it will be just kept at the beginning. Okay, so let's see one example. Right, so if you see, ideally if you are expecting it should be a 7 6 5 4 3 2 1, that is not the case. This is one element, and this element has one higher element, so that will be placed at the first and then rest will be at the end. All right, reverse string using slicing method, but it creates a new list and additional memory utilized. So in this example we'll see a is this. So what is b is this is one reverse method where you can put colon colon and then minus one. That means it will start at the end and it will just come back till the start. Now here the thing is, you see this is assigned to a new variable b. Okay, because I don't want to modify anything in variable a. Okay, right, so a is still like this and b is having a reversed element or reversed string. Okay, so let's proceed. Reverse all strings in a list, in a string list. So there is one list, one two three four elements are there, and I want to reverse the elements. Okay, so straightforward. Apple, banana, cherry, date. So apple, banana, cherry, date. So here what is happening, what we are doing is we are reversing individual list first. Okay, what we are doing in this for loop, we are accessing individual elements starting from the apple and then reversing it and dumping then and there only using the say b dot append. So that is why it is reversing individual element. Okay, right. Sort method. So it sorts the list in ascending order by default. Sort the elements of a list in ascending or descending order. It modifies the same list. Okay, so sort basically doesn't need any additional list, it will modify the same list. So a is having these elements, so print a and then I will sort it. So sort will start from the list element value. So the list is -9 because it's a negative number, -6, -9, -5, all the way up to 6. Right, so that is how sorting in ascending order is done. Okay, many times the default sorting is ascending order is only required, and that is preferred also. Right, so let's see the syntax. At a large we have list name dot sort. We can give on which criteria we want to sort, and then if you want to sort ascending or descending. So by default it is a reverse is false. Okay, that means by default it is ascending order. Okay, reverse order. So we have couple of elements in a list, then I will say reverse or sort, and I will say reverse equal to true. That means it will sort in a reverse order. Okay, so it is sorting in the reverse order. Right? The higher number came first and then the lower number. Okay, custom sort using key. So what is a key? If you see here, sort key is length. So key is the length of the custom sorting using a key or a function. So key is length of strings in list. Okay, if length of multiple element is same, then sort in ascending order by default. So based on the key, so normally if you don't specify anything in the sort, it will simply accept it as ascending order, sometimes maybe descending order. Now we want to sort based on the length of the individual element in a string of that particular element. So if you see, these are the elements. This is having length 4, this is having length 5, and so on. So we will sort it as per their length. Okay, so you can use the a dot sort key, a dot sort function, and key equal to the length of the function, sorry, key the length of the original list, and then print a. Right, so apple, banana, kiwi, banana 2. So right, so based on the length, so the length is 4 character, 5 character, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 character, and 7 character. Okay, case insensitive. So we want to uh, sort it based on, say, uppercase. So uppercase means it will convert every element into uppercase, and then we'll try to do sorting. Okay, case sensitive. Right, so we'll see some other examples. All right, so so some other list examples. Accessing the index in for loop. So very commonly we need to iterate in a for loop, and we if you want to know the value and the index of the element, so that can be done using enumerate function. So enumerate function, we will return the index and the value of x, both. Right, so let's run it one more time. Right, so 0 Rome, 1 Moscow, 3 Colombia, and so on. And also here using idx, but here it is starting with index 2. So 0, 1, 2 onwards it will start. Concatenate to list we have seen, so you can just use add symbol and you will be able to concatenate. Check if the string is empty. So how do you check it? So you check the length. So if the length is 0, that means it is empty. And this if not names, so this will also check the content. Both are mid similar, but there is some difference. But for normal purpose, we can use names function or length function. Okay, randomly select an item from the list. So sometimes it is a need that we in the list we want to fetch, or we want to add some random number, or for any variable we want to have some random number. So here randomly selecting an item from the list, so that we can do using random function, random dot choice and then names. Okay, so let me just print it. Okay, okay, so randomly select item from the list. Next is get list of all files of a directory. So online there are multiple approaches, but this is the approach which I found similar. So get the list of all the files in a directory. So simply you have to import the os function, um, then os dot limited the dictionary, and then print out. Okay, so this will give you the list of all the files which are in the present folder. Okay, that is this folder, that is this folder. All right, so check if two lists are identical. Okay, this is also another common requirement, that one list of values comes from something and another list of values comes from customer, client, or developer. So if you want to verify both are identical or not, so you can use result equal to a equal to b, or equal to operator. Okay, so let's run it. It is false, they are not equal. Okay, 1 2 3 and 1 to 4, so this is the difference, right? Union of two or more lists. Okay, so logical operations we can do. So I have two lists, a and b, and then I want to union, I want to find the union of both of them. So I can do using list set a dot union b. Okay, or simply I can say set a plus b, you have to set and then find the list. So that is how you will find the union. Right, so this is a union. Find the largest number in a string in a list. Right, so a dot sort, and the last element will be the highest number. So in this case, the highest number will be 23, because this is minus number, a negative number. 23 is the largest number. Then find the average of the list. So this is simple. You can do using the sum methods. Sum will get the sum of all the elements in a list and then divide by length. So this is the average, is 7.4. Remove duplicates from a list. So simply you can use the set method or set function to remove the duplicates. Now the problem with the set is it will remove the duplicate, but the order will not be maintained. So let's see this. Okay, so if you see the removed elements, so 23 is only once, and then 68 is removed, it is only once, but the order is not maintained. So to have that, we can use another way, which is dictionary from dict from keys method, and we'll pass on the original list and we'll print the value. Let's see. Okay, so 1, 23, 3, 4, 68 are the original numbers, and those were one of couple of them were repeated, but the index is still maintained. Okay, so we can do using append also. Okay, we can do it using append. Okay, two for loops. sorry, one outer for loop and inner in if condition. If the condition is not met, then we will append it, otherwise proceed, otherwise we can skip, right? So that is how removing the duplicates. All right, all right, so list slicing. Okay, list slicing we have seen already, we have seen this. Then get elements starting from index 2 till end, index starting with 0 up to 3 excluding, from 1 to 4 excluding 4, and so on. Negative slicing. Okay, so negative slicing, so this is one list and these are the indexes of the elements. Get elements starting from index minus 2 till the end. So this is minus 1, this is minus 2 element, the it is from the bottom, and then it will start from here and it will go till the end, right? So let's run it, right? 589 and 286 are only used. Now get elements starting from index 0 to index minus 3. Minus 3 means minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. So it will process these elements 0 to 6 and it will give the value. So okay, so this is excluded, this is excluded, so one before that, it is minus 2. So 6, 22, 53, minus 9, 44, and minus 2. Okay, get elements starting from index 0 till minus 3. Okay, and so on. Get elements from index minus 4 to index minus 1 excluding this, and dump it in a new string, new list, and then print it. Straightforward. Reverse a list using slicing. Also, this also we have seen. Cylindrical rotate list. So sometimes there's a business requirement that we 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 have a list, we want to rotate it, or uh, rotate at some point some index, and don't want to lose other elements. So we can do slicing, but in slicing what happens is, say we want to slice it from here, so it will give only these elements, okay, but the other elements will be left behind. So that is not possible using slicing. So simply we will use a cylindrical rotate method. We will ask, okay, what you want to rotate and from which index you want to rotate. So we can simply return the items before the index, and then the items which are after the index, and so on. Okay, just like what I explained here. Fine, so now I can say rotate a at index 0 or 1 or 2 or whatever index we want, right? So original is 1 to 9. Now I want to rotate as 0 the index, so it will start from 9. Rotate at 1 index, that is 7. Rotate at 2 index, minus 2 index, that is 7, and so on. All right, find the most frequent element in a list. Okay, so that can be done using this max set function and a key list, any list not count method, or a key, most frequent number from a list. So the most frequent number is 22. Okay, most frequent number is 22. Okay, iterate list, other example, iterate over a list in Python. So simple, there is a mega list, so using a for loop, simply for iterate on each element and then print the value of the element. Okay, so value of the element is printed. Fine. Now we just don't want to find the element, we want to also find the index. Okay, so that can be done using this range function, range method. For I in range up to the length of this mega list, that is this, so it will do a range using for loop, and then you can print it by the index. Okay, let's see. right? So you accessed it and you are able to print. Okay, fine. So that is one. Then using while loop also you can do. So while the index n is less than equal to length of mega list, and then print every element and then increment by one. Fine. Using enumerate function which provides both index and value. So this is bit easy and also very widely used. Say if you want to iterate over in a for loop, and while iterating itself we want the index and also the value of that particular list, you can use enumerate function which will return these two. So let's see, right? So it is returning the zeroth value and zeroth index and the value, first index and the value, third index and the value, and so on. Okay, using list comprehension also we can do. So this is a mega list which I want to do using the list comprehension way, so that also I can do print val for val in mega list. Okay, so that is what it is doing. Iterate over multiple lists simultaneously. So we have three lists: num color and value. Okay, each is, every list is having different number of elements. This is again int type, this is string type, this is again int type. So how do we iterate on multiple lists? So we want to access all the zeroth element at once, or the first element at once, and so on. So it will increase, it will iterate till the last length first. Okay, so we can do using it as zip function. So it will, what it will happen, what it will do, it will just zip the three lists, and then one by one it will access the nth element. Okay, now here the problem is, because this is having only two elements, because this is having more number of two elements, more than two. So what will happen after two, this operation will stop. Okay, so let's see one by one. Okay, so if you see, one red 255, two white 30. Okay, and then third it didn't print it because the the least number of element in the list is value, which is 2. So after that it will ignore. Okay, now if need to iterate till the maximum length. Okay, same example as above. So there are a couple of lists, and I want to uh, print, and I want to access all the lists at a time. But at the same time, if there is a length mismatch, then I will, what I can do. So what can be done is, you can do iterator class. You can call this method longest method, and then there you have to give all the three um, values, and with the method called as zip longest. So if you see, the method here is zip, and here the it is iter tools dot zip longest. So what will happen, it will get the list of, it will get the index of the list which is having maximum number of elements. So that is 5 here. This is having 5 elements, this is 3 elements, this is 2 elements, so this is the bigger one. And then it will um, insert this value if something is not found. Okay, so let's see. Right, so num color value and then print abc. So here what is going to happen, it will process one red 255, two white 300, and then three black none, three black none, four black none, five black none, and so on. So what is happening here is, when you use a zip longest function from iter tools class, what is going to happen is, if there's a length mismatch, then this zip longest will insert none variable in whichever place where it is applicable. Okay, so now let's see, we can also modify a default value instead of none in zip longest. So what zip longest does is, basically in it will simply add a default value none if there is a length mismatch. Instead of that, we can fill it with some value. So we can say fill value equal to -1. So wherever it will insert none here, that Instead of that, it will fill it with num value minus 1. Okay, let's run it. Right, so if you see, it is wherever the elements are not available, it will insert minus 1 and so on. Okay, so fine, that is all about the lists uh, item used in Python. I hope you like the video. So if you like the video, please like, share, subscribe, and share it with your community. Thank you.